She found a terrified boy alone in the rain and brought him home to safety. What she didn't know, his father was the most dangerous man in the city. And now, the mafia boss wouldn't let her walk away. The rain hit the pavement like bullets. Hannah pulled her jacket tighter, her sneakers splashing through puddles as she locked the cafe's back door. Midnight shift done. $12 an hour plus whatever tips the day crew forgot to steal from the jar. Tonight, $4.63. She counted it twice under the flickering streetlight, then shoved it deep in her pocket. The walk home was 20 minutes if she hurried. 30 if the storm got worse. Her daughter Mia was with Mrs. Chin upstairs, probably already asleep, but Hannah always felt guilty leaving her, even for work. 7 years old, and already used to a mom who smelled like bleach and came home after bedtime.
Just keep moving.
But then she saw him. A small figure huddled under the cafe's front awning, pressed against the window like he was trying to disappear into the brick. Dark hair plastered to his forehead. Expensive-looking jacket soaked through. Maybe 8 years old. Hannah's heart clenched. She'd walked past homeless kids before. This city had too many, but something about this one was different. The way he sat perfectly still. The way his eyes tracked every shadow on the street like he was expecting something terrible. She approached slowly, hands visible. "Hey, sweetie. You okay?" The boy flinched but didn't run. Up close, she could see he was shivering violently. His lips had a bluish tint.
I'm Hannah.
"What's your name?" For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then, barely audible, "Noah."
Noah.
That's a good name. She crouched down to his level, rain soaking through her jeans. "Where are your parents, honey?" "My dad's." "He's working." Noah's voice cracked. "Robert was supposed to wait for me. He's my driver. But he got a phone call and told me to stay here, and then he drove away and he didn't come back." Hannah's stomach dropped. Driver. This wasn't a runaway or a homeless kid. This was something else entirely. How long ago? "I don't know." A long time. Noah pulled out a phone. Definitely not a kid's phone, sleek and black, and pressed the power button uselessly. It died. "I can't call anyone." Warning bells went off in Hannah's head. A child alone at midnight with a dead phone, and a story about a driver who abandoned him? Every news report she'd ever half-listened to while mopping floors suddenly felt relevant.
Kidnapping.
Trafficking. Ransom. But looking at Noah's face, terrified, exhausted, soaked, none of that mattered right now. "Okay, listen to me, Noah. I'm going to help you, but I need you to trust me."
Can you do that?
He nodded, and something in his eyes broke her heart. Like he'd been waiting for anyone, to say those words. "We're going to get you warm and dry, and then we're going to figure out how to reach your dad. Does that sound good?" "You're not going to call the police?" His reaction was instant, almost panicked. Hannah hesitated. "Do you want me to call them?"
No.
Noah grabbed her sleeve. "My dad said never call the police. Never. No matter what. He made me promise." Every instinct told Hannah this was wrong. What kind of father told his child to avoid the police? But Noah's grip on her arm was desperate, and his whole body was shaking, from cold or fear. She couldn't tell. What would I want someone to do if this was Mia? "All right," she said softly. "No police. Not yet. But we need to get you somewhere safe and warm. I live about 20 minutes from here. You can charge your phone, call your dad, and we'll figure this out. Okay?" Noah searched her face like he was trying to decide if she was telling the truth. Then he nodded. Hannah stood and offered her hand. After a moment, he took it. His fingers were ice cold. They walked through the storm in silence. Hannah kept glancing down at Noah, watching for signs he might bolt or collapse. He kept his head down, counting cracks in the sidewalk. "So," Hannah tried to keep her voice light, "what does your dad do?" "For work." "Business," Noah said automatically. "He has meetings. Lots of meetings." Hannah had heard that tone before. The practiced answer. The thing you say when you don't really know what your parent does all day. When they reached her building, a 5-story walk-up with peeling paint and a broken intercom, Noah didn't even blink. Hannah had expected some reaction. Kids with drivers usually lived in a very different world. "Fourth floor," she warned.
No elevator.
They climbed in silence. On the second-floor landing, Noah stumbled, and Hannah caught his elbow. "Almost there, sweetie." Mrs. Chen's door cracked open as they passed the third floor. Her weathered face appeared, eyes sharp despite the late hour. "Hannah? Who's this?" "Found him outside the cafe.
Lost.
Just helping him call his family." Mrs. Chen studied Noah for a long moment, then nodded. "Mia is sleeping. Good girl, no trouble." "Thank you, Mrs. Chen." Inside her apartment, Hannah flicked on the lights and tried to see the space through Noah's eyes. One bedroom that she shared with Mia. A couch that folded out into a bed, where she usually slept. A kitchen the size of a closet. Everything clean but worn, held together with hope and dollar store organizing bins. But Noah just stood in the doorway, dripping on the mat, looking lost. "Okay." Hannah kicked into practical mode. "Bathroom's there. I'm going to get you a towel and some dry clothes. They'll be too big, but they'll be warm. You go ahead and dry off, and I'll see what I can do about food." 20 minutes later, Noah sat at her tiny kitchen table wearing Hannah's largest t-shirt like a dress, his wet clothes tumbling in the building's basement dryer. She'd made him instant ramen, the good kind with the freeze-dried vegetables, and he ate mechanically, like he'd forgotten he was hungry until the bowl appeared. His phone charged on the counter. Hannah sipped terrible instant coffee and watched him. Now that he wasn't shaking and soaked, she could see more clearly. Expensive haircut. No visible bruises or signs of abuse. Well-fed, but absolutely terrified. "Noah, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." He looked up, noodles dangling from his chopsticks. "Are you safe at home? With your dad?" "Yes," no hesitation. "My dad would never hurt me."
He's
The only person who wouldn't." The phrasing sent a chill down Hannah's spine. The only person. "Okay. When your phone turns on, we're going to call him. And if we can't reach him, we'll call someone else he trusts." "But Noah," she leaned forward, making sure he was listening, "if your dad doesn't answer, or if something feels wrong, I need you to tell me. Because my job right now is to keep you safe. That's it. Nothing else matters. Understand?" Noah stared at her for a long moment. Then his eyes filled with tears he clearly didn't want to shed. "Robert's dead, isn't he?" His voice was barely a whisper. "That's why he didn't come back." Hannah's blood went cold. "Why would you say that?" "Because that's what happens." Noah looked down at his bowl. "People around my dad. Sometimes they just don't come back." Before Hannah could respond, the phone on the counter buzzed to life. 47 missed calls. 23 voicemails. Text messages flooding in so fast the phone vibrated continuously. Noah's hand shook as he reached for it. And Hannah realized with absolute certainty that her simple act of kindness had just pulled her into something dangerous, something that would change everything. Noah stared at his phone screen like it might explode. "What's wrong?" Hannah moved closer, trying to see without invading his space. "They're all from Marcus. He's head of security." Noah's thumb hovered over the call button. "He's going to be so angry." "Angry that you're safe?" Hannah frowned. "Honey, that doesn't make sense." "You don't understand." Noah pulled the phone against his chest. "I wasn't supposed to leave the car. Dad has rules. So many rules. And I broke them because Robert said." His voice cracked. "Robert said it would just be a minute." Hannah's coffee had gone cold in her hands. Outside, the storm hammered against the windows, and somewhere in the building, a baby cried. Normal night sounds. But nothing about this felt normal anymore. "Noah, listen to me. None of this is your fault. You're 8 years old. You trusted an adult who was supposed to protect you. That's what you're supposed to do." "I'm 9, he corrected automatically. Then quieter. "Dad says trust is dangerous." What kind of life is this kid living? Hannah set down her mug. "Okay. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to call this Marcus person and tell him exactly where you are. I'll talk to him too, explain what happened. Your dad will come get you, and everything will be fine. But even as she said it, she didn't believe it. The way Noah had said people around my dad don't come back, that wasn't normal childhood anxiety. That was knowledge. Noah unlocked his phone with shaking fingers. The screen showed a dozen apps Hannah didn't recognize. No games.
No social media.
Just communication tools, and what looked like tracking software. He pressed a contact labeled simply MS Emergency. It rang once. Noah, the voice that answered, was pure ice. Male, clipped, controlled. Where are you?
I'm
safe. I'm with someone who helped me. Put them on.
now.
Noah held out the phone like it might burn him. Hannah took it, her heart pounding. Hello? Who is this? The voice didn't rise, but somehow became sharper. Where is Noah? My name is Hannah Pierce. I found Noah outside a cafe on 7th Street about an hour ago. He was alone in the rain.
His phone was dead.
I brought him to my apartment to get warm and charge his phone so he could call. Address. Excuse me? Your address. Now, not a request. A command. Hannah's grip tightened on the phone. Something about the tone made her want to hang up, grab Noah, and run. But run where? And from what? I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I just wanted to help. Address, Miss Pierce. Or I will have your location triangulated in the next 40 seconds, and the conversation will be very different when we arrive. Hannah's mouth went dry. Noah watched her with huge eyes, and she could see he was waiting for her to understand what he already knew. This wasn't a normal family. This wasn't a normal situation. She gave the address. Do not leave. Do not call anyone. Do not post anything on social media. Someone will be there shortly. A pause. Is Noah injured?
No.
He's fine. Just cold and scared. Put him back on. Hannah handed the phone to Noah, her hand trembling slightly. She turned away to give him privacy, staring at her reflection in the dark kitchen window. In the next room, she could hear Mia's soft breathing through the cracked bedroom door. What have I done? Behind her, Noah spoke in whispers. Yes, sir.
No, sir.
She gave me soup. She didn't ask about Dad. I promise. Okay. The call ended. Silence filled the apartment except for the rain and the ancient refrigerator's hum. Noah, Hannah said carefully, not turning around. Is your dad? Is he going to hurt me for helping you? The pause was too long. No, Noah finally said. But it didn't sound convincing. He'll just want to make sure you're not. That you didn't. Didn't what? Take me on purpose. Noah's voice was small. It happens sometimes. People pretend to help, but really they want money. Or they want to hurt Dad by hurting me. Or they're working for someone else. Hannah turned around. Is that what you thought when I found you? That I was trying to kidnap you? At first, Noah looked at his hands. But then you bought me soup with your own money. And you let me use your phone charger even though it's old and might break. And you sleep on the couch so your daughter can have the bedroom. He gestured at the folded blanket, the pillow with the visible stain she could never quite get out. Bad people don't do those things. Something in Hannah's chest cracked. This kid had been taught to analyze kindness for ulterior motives, to measure generosity as a threat assessment. How long until they get here? She asked. Noah checked his phone. Marcus said 20 minutes. But he was already moving when he called.
So.
Probably less. Hannah looked at the door. She could grab Mia, wake up Mrs. Chun, run. But run from what? She'd helped a lost child. That was the right thing to do. Wasn't it? Noah, I need you to tell me the truth about one thing. He looked up at her. Is your dad a dangerous man? Noah considered this with the seriousness of someone much older. Dad says there are no safe people, only honest ones. He's honest about what he is. And what is he? Before Noah could answer, the building's front door, 4 floors down, slammed open hard enough that Hannah heard it through the walls. Heavy footsteps. Multiple sets. Moving fast. They'd arrived. Hannah's instinct was to lock the door. Her reality was that it wouldn't matter. The footsteps came up the stairs in synchronized rhythm, professional, practiced. Not running, but moving with absolute purpose. She could hear Mrs. Chen's door open and quickly close again. Smart woman. Noah, get behind me. Hannah positioned herself between him and the door. They won't hurt you, Noah said, but he moved behind her anyway. Probably. 3 sharp knocks. Ms. Pierce. Open the door, please. The same ice-cold voice from the phone. Marcus. Hannah's hand shook as she turned the deadbolt. The chain lock seemed laughable now, so she slid it free too. 4 men stood in her narrow hallway. They wore dark suits despite the rain, water beating off fabric that probably cost more than her monthly rent. 3 of them had the build of people who hurt others professionally, broad shoulders, alert eyes, hands that hung loose and ready. But it was the 4th man who made her breath catch. Marcus, presumably. Tall, black, maybe 45, with silver at his temples and a scar that ran from his left eyebrow into his hairline. He looked at Hannah the way a surgeon might examine a tumor, clinically, thoroughly, deciding where to cut. Noah, he didn't look at the boy, keeping his eyes on Hannah. Come here. Noah squeezed past Hannah, and she hated how small he looked next to these men.
How young?
Marcus's expression didn't change, but something in his posture softened microscopically. You're unharmed? Yes, sir. Your clothes? In the dryer. Downstairs. Miss Pierce, she washed them. Now Marcus did look at Hannah, really looked, and she forced herself not to step back. Ms. Pierce, I'm going to ask you some questions. Answer honestly and quickly. I found him outside a cafe. He was alone, and... Did anyone see you take him? Take him? I didn't take. Answer the question. His voice never rose. Somehow that made it worse. I don't know. Maybe. It's a busy street, but it was raining, and it was late. Did you tell anyone you were bringing him here? Just Mrs. Chun, my neighbor, but she wouldn't. Which apartment? 3B, but she's 70 years old and barely speaks English. Marcus gestured, and one of the other men disappeared down the hallway. Hannah heard a soft knock on Mrs. Chen's door.
Hey.
Hannah started forward. Leave her alone. Marcus raised one hand, and she stopped. Not because of any threat in the gesture, but because of the absolute certainty in his eyes that she would stop. We're not going to hurt your neighbor, Miss Pierce. We're going to ensure she stays safe and quiet. There's a difference. He glanced at Noah. Did Miss Pierce ask you questions about your father? No, sir. About where you live? No, sir. About money? No, sir. Noah's voice got smaller with each answer. She just asked if I was safe at home. And she made me soup. The kind with vegetables. Marcus's eyes flicked back to Hannah. You fed him. He was starving and soaked. What was I supposed to do? Most people would have called the police. He asked me not to. And you listened to a child's request over your civic duty? Something that might have been respect flickered across Marcus's face. Interesting. From the bedroom, Mia's voice called out sleepily. Mama? Hannah's blood turned to ice. Don't you dare. Relax, Miss Pierce, Marcus nodded, and one of his men moved to stand casually in front of the bedroom door. Not blocking it, exactly.
Just present.
No one here harms children. It's actually what we're trying to prevent. By terrifying a woman who helped one. By making sure you are who you appear to be. Marcus pulled out his phone, tapped something, and turned the screen toward her. This is you. Hannah Marie Pierce, 29. Divorced. 1 daughter, Mia, age 7. You work 3 jobs, cafe cleaning, weekend grocery stocking, and Tuesday night bar shift. 11,000 in debt, mostly medical from your daughter's asthma medications. No criminal record. No social media presence beyond a Facebook account you haven't updated in 2 years. Hannah felt violated. How did you? We had your address. The rest took 4 minutes. He pocketed the phone. You're either genuinely kind or extremely patient in your setup. We'll know which shortly. Setup for what? Marcus ignored the question. Mr. Kane is 15 minutes away. He'll want to speak with you personally. Mr. Kane? Noah's father. Marcus checked his watch. I suggest you use the next 14 minutes to prepare yourself. He's not. Easy. I don't need to prepare anything. I helped a lost kid. That's it. That's the whole story. Miss Pierce, do you know what your building's property value is? The question threw her. What? 4.2 million. Owner-occupied units, rent-controlled apartments, structural issues that would cost $500,000 to repair properly. Marcus walked to her window, looked down at the street. Mr. Kane could buy this building with what he spends on wine in a month. He could relocate every tenant, including you and your daughter, to somewhere safer. Better schools. Better air for asthma. Hannah's stomach dropped. I don't want his money. Everyone wants money, Miss Pierce. I want him to take his son and leave. That's all. Marcus turned back to her, and for the first time, something like genuine curiosity crossed his face. You realize that by bringing Noah here, you've put yourself in a dangerous position? That people who harm children often pose as helpers. I realized that I found a terrified kid in the rain and did what any decent person would do. In this city? Marcus almost smiled. Decent people are rare. Which is exactly why Mr. Kane will want to verify you're real. From downstairs came the sound of car doors. Expensive ones, with that solid thunk of German engineering. Marcus straightened. He's here. Noah pressed closer to Hannah, and she put a hand on his shoulder, without thinking. It'll be okay, she whispered. You don't know my dad, Noah whispered back. The footsteps on the stairs were different this time. Fewer of them. Slower. But somehow more deliberate, like each step was measured and controlled. Marcus and his men straightened almost imperceptibly, and Hannah realized that whoever was about to walk through her door, these dangerous men feared him. The footsteps stopped outside. The door opened, and Hannah met Victor Kane. 2 hours earlier. Victor Kane didn't sleep much. Tonight, he wasn't sleeping at all. His office occupied the entire top floor of the Kane Tower downtown, glass walls overlooking a city that looked peaceful from 30 stories up. Deceptive, that peace. Down there in the streets, his empire ran on fear, loyalty, and the kind of money that made politicians return his calls within minutes. He was reviewing contracts when his private line rang. Not the business line. Not the secure line. The private line that only 5 people in the world had access to. Victor's hand stopped mid-signature. That phone never rang after 10 p.m. unless something was catastrophically wrong. He picked up. Speak. Sir, Marcus's voice was tight. We have a situation with Noah. The pen in Victor's hand snapped. Explain. His voice remained level through decades of practice, but his heart rate spiked dangerously. Robert missed the 15-minute check-in. We sent backup to the pickup location. Found Robert's car 3 blocks away. Driver's side door open. Robert's phone on the ground. Blood on the seat. Victor was already moving, grabbing his jacket, his own phone. Noah.
Gone.
No sign of struggle from his side. Security footage shows Robert receiving a call, speaking briefly, then driving away from the designated route. He stopped in an alley. 2 men approached the car. Robert exited voluntarily. Voluntarily, Victor's jaw clenched. He knew them. Possibly. They wore masks. Robert engaged in conversation for approximately 90 seconds. Then one of them struck him. They dragged him into a van. The car was left running. Noah. Marcus paused. Noah's backpack was still in the vehicle. His phone too. But no Noah. Victor's mind ran through scenarios at computer speed. Rival families. Ambitious underlings. Federal traps. Enemies he'd made over 20 years of building an empire on other people's broken bones. Robert had a daughter, Victor said quietly. Columbia University.
Permit.
Yes, sir. They threatened her. Made him betray us. Then killed him anyway. Victor stepped into his private elevator. Put every available asset on the street. I want traffic cameras, business security footage, police scanners. Find my son. Already in motion, sir. But Victor. Marcus rarely used his first name. If this is the Kozlov family, they'll want to negotiate. They'll call. And if it's not Kozlov. Silence. Then we have a new enemy, Victor finished. One stupid enough to take my child. The elevator descended. Victor's reflection stared back from the polished steel, 42 years old, gray threading through his dark hair, a face that had learned to show nothing. His father used to say emotion was weakness. Victor had proven him wrong by building an empire twice the size of the old man's. But his father had never had a son to lose. Noah was 9 years old. 9 years of private tutors and security details and birthday parties that cost 6 figures but felt empty. 9 years of Victor trying to be both father and protector in a world where those roles contradicted each other constantly. I should have sent him away. Boarding school in Switzerland. Hidden identity. Normal life. But he hadn't. Because Noah was all he had left of Sophia, and sending him away felt like losing her all over again. His phone buzzed. Marcus again. Talk. Robert's daughter just called her roommate, hysterical. Said men came to her dorm, told her to leave campus immediately and go to the address they gave her. She's scared but unharmed. Send our people. Protect her. Victor's car was waiting in the underground garage. Armored SUV, bulletproof glass, a driver who'd taken 3 bullets for the family and survived. What else? We found Robert. Storm drain near the waterfront. Single gunshot. Professional. Victor felt nothing. Couldn't afford to. His family, pension tripled. Daughter's education fully funded. Medical coverage lifetime. Good, it wouldn't bring Robert back, but it was what you did. You took care of your people, even when they betrayed you. Especially then. The men who took him, working on it. But Victor, there's something else. We pulled footage from every camera in a 2-block radius. Noah wasn't taken. Victor's hand tightened on the phone. Explain. He ran. After Robert drove off, Noah got out of the car and ran. We have him on 3 different cameras, heading west on 7th, then the trail goes cold near the Cafe District.
He ran.
Relief and terror hit simultaneously. Noah was smart, trained in basic evasion. But he was also 9 years old, alone in the city, in a storm. Expand the search. Every business, every shelter, every hospital. Offer rewards but keep it quiet. I don't want the press involved. Already done. But Victor, if he's hiding. He'll try to call. Victor closed his eyes briefly. His phone's dead, so he'll look for a charging station. Check 24-hour stores, fast food places, anywhere with outlets. On it. Victor ended the call and stared out at the city sliding past his windows. Somewhere in those millions of lights, his son was cold and scared and alone. Please be smart, Noah. Please be safe. His phone buzzed again. A text from his IT specialist. Possible hit. Noah's phone just came online. Triangulating now. Victor leaned forward. Faster. The driver accelerated. Behind them, 3 more SUVs fell into formation. Inside each one, men who'd killed for Victor before and would do it again without question. The phone buzzed with an address. North Side. Lower-income neighborhood. Residential building. Victor's mind calculated possibilities. Marcus, status on that address. Running it now.
It's
an apartment building. Rent-controlled. No obvious connection to any family operations. Someone has my son, or someone found him, Marcus said carefully. The phone came online naturally, not a power-on spike. Someone let him charge it. Then why hasn't he called? No answer to that. At least, no answer Victor wanted to hear. The SUV wove through late-night traffic, running yellows, taking corners that made the bulletproof glass groan. Victor sat perfectly still in the back, hands folded, breathing controlled. But inside, in the place he never showed anyone, a father was screaming. Hold on, son. I'm coming. Victor Kane filled Hannah's doorway like a storm front. He wasn't physically massive, maybe 6 foot, lean build, but presence had nothing to do with size. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Hannah's car, dark hair swept back, jaw sharp enough to cut glass. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath. Cold. Calculating. Completely empty of anything resembling mercy. Those eyes swept the apartment in 2 seconds, cataloging exits, threats, weaknesses. Then they landed on Noah, and something fractured in that Arctic gaze. Dad, Noah's voice cracked. Victor crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped to one knee, hands framing Noah's face with surprising gentleness. Are you hurt? No, sir. Did anyone touch you inappropriately? No, sir. Were you threatened? No, sir. Noah's eyes filled with tears. Dad, Robert. I know. Victor's thumb brushed Noah's cheek. We'll talk about it later. Right now, I need you to go with Marcus. He's going to take you to the car. But...
Now, Noah.
The boy looked at Hannah once, something apologetic in his expression, then followed Marcus out. 2 of the other men went with them, leaving one standing by the door, and leaving Hannah alone with Victor Kane. He stood slowly, and Hannah watched him reassemble that empty expression like armor. When he turned to face her fully, the father was gone. Only the billionaire mafia boss remained. Miss Pierce, his voice was smooth, controlled, with a hint of an accent she couldn't place. Russian, maybe, or Eastern European, worn down by years in America. I understand you found my son. I helped a lost child. Hannah forced herself not to back away. That's all. Victor walked to her window, looked down at the street where his convoy was parked. Black SUVs lined up like dominoes, completely blocking traffic. Nobody was honking. Nobody was even slowing down to look. They just went around, quickly, heads down. You live alone with your daughter, Victor said. It wasn't a question. That's none of your business. You work 3 jobs to make ends meet. Medical debt. No family support. Your ex-husband pays child support irregularly, and you've stopped pursuing it legally because you can't afford the lawyer fees. Hannah's hands clenched into fists. How dare you? I'm not judging you, Miss Pierce, Victor turned back to her. I'm assessing risk. You understand risk, don't you? Every time your daughter has an asthma attack, you risk that the emergency room bill will finally break you. Every time you walk home alone at midnight, you risk that you won't make it. You live on the knife's edge of survival. What's your point? My point is that you could have ransomed my son for enough money to eliminate every risk in your life. Victor took a step closer. You could have called the police and let them handle it, removing yourself from the situation entirely. You could have simply walked past him and pretended not to see. He's a child. Exactly, another step. He's a child, and you brought him here. Fed him. Protected him. Asked nothing in return. Victor's eyes narrowed.
Why?
Hannah stared at him. Because it was the right thing to do. The right thing, Victor said it like he was tasting a foreign word. Do you know what happened to Robert, Miss Pierce? My son's driver? Noah said. Robert was a good man. Loyal for 12 years. He had a daughter in medical school. He loved his wife. Victor's voice remained level, but something dark moved behind his eyes. Tonight, someone threatened his daughter's life. Told him to drive to a specific location or she would die. He chose to save her. They killed him anyway and dumped his body in a storm drain. Hannah felt sick. This is the world my son lives in, Victor continued. A world where good people die because they're connected to me. Where kindness is a strategy and trust is a weapon. He stopped directly in front of her. So when someone helps Noah and asks for nothing, I have to wonder what the real game is. There is no game. Everyone has a game, Miss Pierce. Not me. Hannah lifted her chin. I saw a scared kid in the rain. I helped him. That's it. If that makes me stupid or suspicious in your world, I don't care. I did what I'd want someone to do for my Mia. For a long moment, Victor just studied her. Then he pulled out his phone, tapped something, and turned the screen toward her. Security footage. Multiple angles. Hannah leading Noah through the rain. Buying ramen at the corner store with coins from her pocket. Drying his hair with her only good towel. Giving up her bed, taking the couch. I've been watching you since Noah's phone came online, Victor said quietly. I've seen everything you did tonight. Hannah's face burned. That's necessary. Victor pocketed the phone. I had to verify you weren't a threat. That you weren't working for my enemies. That you weren't going to hurt my son. His expression softened microscopically. You passed. Lucky me. Actually, yes. Victor glanced toward the door, where voices drifted up from the stairwell. Marcus giving orders. car doors opening and closing. Do you understand what you've done, Miss Pierce? By bringing Noah here, by being seen with him. I saved him from hypothermia. You also put a target on your back, Victor's voice dropped. The people who killed Robert, who tried to take my son, they're still out there. They saw Noah run. They probably have the same security footage I do.
Which means they now know about you.
Hannah's blood ran cold. What? You helped Noah. In my world, that makes you connected to him. Connected to me. Victor turned toward the door. I'm sorry, Miss Pierce. I truly am. But your simple act of kindness just made you a person of interest to some very dangerous people. Wait. Hannah grabbed his arm without thinking, then immediately released it when his bodyguard's hand moved to his weapon. You can't just drop that and leave. What am I supposed to do? Victor paused at the door, looking back at her with something that might have been regret. Pray they don't find you, he said. Or hope that I find them first. Then he was gone, footsteps echoing down the stairs, leaving Hannah alone in her apartment with the weight of what she'd done crushing down on her chest. In the bedroom, Mia called out, Mama? Who were those people? Hannah closed her eyes and tried to remember how to breathe. Victor sat in the back of the SUV, watching footage on his tablet as the convoy pulled away. Marcus drove, occasionally glancing in the rearview mirror. Noah sat beside Victor, wrapped in a thermal blanket someone had produced, silent and small. Outside, the city blurred past, neon signs reflecting off wet pavement, homeless people huddled in doorways, the gap between Victor's world and everyone else's made visible in glass and steel. On the tablet screen, Hannah Pierce moved through her evening in grainy black and white. Victor had seen the footage already, but he watched it again, looking for tells. 4 mistakes. For the moment the mask would slip and reveal her true intentions. Corner store. 11:47 p.m. Hannah counting coins at the register. Buying instant ramen, the cheapest kind, and hesitating before adding a chocolate bar, then putting it back. The cashier's saying something. Hannah shaking her head, pocketing her change. Walking out with just the ramen.
Apartment building. 12:03 a.m.
Hannah leading Noah inside, one hand on his shoulder. Protective, not possessive. She looked back twice, checking the street. Not guilty, worried.
Apartment interior. 12:15 a.m.
This footage came from a microdrone Marcus had sent up to the window level. Illegal as hell, but Victor didn't deal in legal anymore. Hannah giving Noah towels. Disappearing into the bathroom, returning with her own clothes.
Noch Hessetasjen.
No calculation of what this would cost her.
Kitchen. 12:33 a.m.
Hannah at the stove, making ramen. She'd added an egg, cracked it right into the pot. Victor had watched her check her refrigerator first, counting what she had left. 3 eggs total. She'd used one for Noah. And then she'd sat across from him with terrible coffee, not eating herself, just watching to make sure he did. Mr. Kane? Marcus's voice pulled him back to the present. We're approaching the safe house. Victor glanced at Noah. His son stared out the window, face blank in that way he'd learned too young. The way that meant he was processing trauma and locking it away in boxes he'd spend years in therapy unpacking. If I let him go to therapy, if I let him be that vulnerable. Noah, Victor said quietly. Look at me. The boy turned. 9 years old with 40-year-old eyes. What Miss Pierce did tonight, bringing you to her home, feeding you, protecting you, was extraordinarily stupid. Noah flinched. But Victor continued, it was also kind. Do you understand the difference? No, sir. Most people in this world make smart choices. Safe choices. They see a lost child and call the authorities because it's not their problem. They protect themselves first. Victor held his son's gaze. Ms. Pierce made the stupid choice. The kind choice. She put you ahead of her own safety, her own needs, without knowing who you were or what it would cost her. Is she going to be okay? Noah's voice was small. Victor thought about Hannah Pierce in her worn-out apartment, counting coins to buy soup for a stranger's child, sleeping on a broken couch so her daughter could have the bed. living paycheck to paycheck in a city that chewed up people like her and spit them out. I don't know, Victor said honestly, because that was the truth. He'd inserted Hannah into a game she didn't know existed. People were watching now, his enemies, his allies, everyone calculating what she meant and how to use her. The SUV pulled up to a brownstone in the Heights. Old money neighborhood, the kind where nobody asked questions because they were paid extremely well not to. Victor owned the whole building under a shell corporation. 5 floors, 8 bedrooms, safe room in the basement, enough security to stop a small army. Noah would be safe here. For tonight, at least. Marcus, take Noah inside. Sweep the perimeter again. I want eyes on every approach. Yes, sir. Marcus opened the door, and 2 more men materialized from the shadows to escort Noah. The boy hesitated. Dad? Are you going somewhere? I have work to do. You're going back for her, aren't you? Ms. Pierce. Victor studied his son. Why would you think that? Because you always protect people who protect me. Noah's voice was matter-of-fact. Even when they don't ask for it. Smart kid. Too smart. Get some sleep, Noah. We'll talk in the morning. After Noah disappeared inside, Victor pulled out his phone and opened a secure app. The screen showed live feeds from 6 cameras now positioned around Hannah's building. Front entrance, back alley, her floor's hallway, her apartment windows from 2 angles. Marcus returned to the driver's seat. Sir? Pull up everything we have on the Volkov family. They've been quiet since the harbor incident. Too quiet. You think this was them? Robert's killing had their signature. Professional but theatrical. They wanted to send a message. Victor zoomed in on one of the camera feeds. Hannah's apartment was dark now, just a nightlight glowing in what must be the bedroom. The question is whether they know about Ms. Pierce yet. If they don't, we should keep it that way. Pull surveillance, wipe footage, eliminate the connection. Victor considered this. The smart play. The safe play. No, he said finally. Increase surveillance. I want to know if anyone even looks at her building wrong. Marcus turned in his seat. Victor, with respect, why? She's a civilian. Unconnected. Keeping her safe is a resource drain we don't need right now. She saved my son. Lots of people have saved Noah. We pay them and move on. She saved him and wanted nothing. Victor locked his phone. That makes her either incredibly rare or incredibly dangerous. Until I know which, she stays monitored. And if the Volkovs find her, Victor's expression went cold. Then they'll learn what happens when you threaten something of mine. She's not yours, Victor. She's just some woman who made the stupid, kind choice. Victor stared out at the city. In my world, Marcus, stupid kindness is either a miracle or a trap. I'm going to find out which. The SUV pulled away from the brownstone, heading back downtown. But Victor kept one phone screen open, cycling through the camera feeds outside Hannah Pierce's apartment. Watching. Waiting. Because in his experience, trouble always found the kind ones first. And something told him trouble was already looking for Hannah Pierce. Hannah didn't sleep. She sat on her couch in the dark, watching shadows move across the ceiling, every car door slam making her flinch. Mia slept peacefully in the bedroom, unaware that her mother had apparently dragged them both into some kind of mob drama. People who hurt children often pose as helpers. Marcus's words kept circling in her head, along with Victor's. You just made yourself a person of interest to some very dangerous people. At 6 a.m., when the sun finally started bleeding gray light through her windows, Hannah made a decision. She'd go to work. Act normal. Pretend last night was just a weird fever dream. Victor Kane had his son back. That was the end of it. Except at 6:30 a.m., when she opened her door to take Mia to school, 2 men in suits stood in the hallway. Different men from last night. Same dangerous energy. Miss Pierce, the one on the left, was younger, Asian, with a scar across his knuckles. Mr. Kane would like to speak with you. We have a car waiting. I have to take my daughter to school. Already arranged. Mrs. Chin will take her with her grandson. They're in the same class. Hannah's stomach dropped. How do you know that? The man didn't answer, just gestured toward the stairs. 20 minutes later, After a tearful Mia was handed off to a confused but well-paid Mrs. Chen, Hannah sat in the back of a luxury SUV that probably cost more than she'd earn in 5 years. They didn't take her to some warehouse or dark alley like she'd feared. Instead, they drove to a townhouse in Riverside, the kind of neighborhood where hedge fund managers kept their mistresses and divorced executives pretended to downsize. Victor waited in the living room. Morning light made him look different. Less terrifying, more tired. He wore casual clothes, dark jeans, a gray sweater, but they probably still cost thousands. A tablet sat on the coffee table in front of him, displaying what looked like security footage. Ms. Pierce. Thank you for coming. Like I had a choice? Hannah remained standing. What's this about? I have work in 2 hours. No, you don't. I called your manager. You have the week off. Paid. Hannah's hands clenched. You can't just. I can. I did. Victor gestured to a chair. Please sit. We need to talk.
She didn't sit.
Talk about what? I helped your son. He's safe. We're done. I wish that were true. Victor turned the tablet toward her. This footage is from your building. Taken at 3:47 a.m. Hannah looked at the screen. A man stood across the street from her apartment, smoking a cigarette, looking up at her windows. Dark jacket, baseball cap, pulled low. He stood there for 6 minutes, then walked away. So? It's a city. People smoke. This man works for the Volkov family. Russian syndicate. They're the ones who killed Robert and tried to take Noah. Victor swiped to another image. This is from 5:15 a.m. Different man, same affiliation, same position. They're watching you. Hannah's legs suddenly felt weak. She sat. Why? Because you're connected to Noah now. They don't know if you're a witness, an accomplice, or a new pressure point. Victor leaned forward. But they're interested, which means you're in danger. So what am I supposed to do? Hide forever?
No.
You're supposed to let me protect you. Victor stood, walked to the window. This townhouse is secure. 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, full kitchen. I own it. Nobody knows about it except my inner circle. You and your daughter can stay here until the situation is resolved. Hannah laughed, sharp, borderline hysterical. You want me to just move into your secret townhouse? With my daughter? Yes. That's insane. That's survival. Victor turned back to her. Ms. Pierce, Hannah, I understand this isn't fair. You did nothing wrong. You helped a child. But fairness doesn't matter to the people watching your building. They see an opportunity, a liability, a target. Then go to the police. And tell them what? That Russian mobsters are watching a civilian because she helped my son. Victor's expression hardened. The police can't protect you. They won't even try. Half of them are on someone's payroll, and the other half are too overwhelmed to care. So, I'm just supposed to trust you? No. Victor walked back to the coffee table, picked up a key ring. You're supposed to trust that I keep my word. I told you last night that your kindness put you in danger. I also implied it was my responsibility to fix that. This is me fixing it. Hannah stared at the keys. What about my jobs? My apartment? Mia's school? Your jobs will be there when it's safe. Your apartment will be maintained and paid for. And Mia. Victor pulled out his phone, showed her a map. There's an excellent school 6 blocks from here. I've already arranged her enrollment. Same grade, same curriculum, better resources. You can't just rearrange our entire lives. I can't. Victor tilted his head. Miss Pierce, I bought your building this morning. I own the cafe where you work. I'm the anonymous donor who funded your daughter's school's new library. I've been rearranging your life since Noah's phone pinged in your apartment. Hannah felt dizzy. That's controlling and invasive and necessary. Victor's voice softened slightly. I don't expect you to like this. I don't expect you to trust me. I just expect you to be smart enough to recognize when you're out of your depth. And you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. I'm doing this because Noah asked me to. That stopped her. What? Victor pulled up something on his tablet, a voice recording. Noah's voice, small and serious. Dad, you have to make sure Miss Pierce is safe. She helped me when she didn't have to. She gave me her food and her bed. If something bad happens to her because of me, I'll never forgive myself." Hannah's eyes burned. "My son has seen terrible things," Victor said quietly. "He's watched people die. He's learned to trust no one. But somehow, in one night, you made him believe in kindness again." He set down the tablet. "So yes, Miss Pierce. I'm protecting you. Not for me. For him." Hannah looked at the keys in Victor's hand. Thought about the man watching her building. About Mia's asthma and their threadbare existence, and the constant fear of everything falling apart. She thought about Noah's face in the rain. "The only person who wouldn't hurt me." "How long?" she asked.
"A week.
"Maybe 2. Until I neutralize the threat." "And if you can't?" Victor's smile was cold. "I always can. It's just a matter of how permanent the solution needs to be." Hannah took the keys.
"One condition," she said.
"I'm not your prisoner. I'm not your responsibility. I'm just temporarily relocated for safety. When this is over, I go back to my life.
No strines.
No debt.
No faber saud."
Victor extended his hand. Agreed. Hannah shook it, and his grip was firm but not crushing. A businessman's handshake. But his eyes held something else, respect, maybe, or curiosity. "Welcome to protective custody, Miss Pierce," he said. "Try not to hate me too much." "Too late," Hannah replied. But she pocketed the keys anyway. The townhouse was beautiful in a way that made Hannah uncomfortable. Hardwood floors that didn't creak. Windows that actually sealed out the cold. A refrigerator that hummed quietly instead of rattling like it was dying. Mia had run from room to room with wide eyes, finally choosing the bedroom with the window seat and built-in bookshelves. "Mama, is this real?" she'd whispered. "Can we really stay here?" Hannah had forced a smile. "Just for a little while, baby." That was 3 days ago. Now Hannah stood in the kitchen, marble countertops, professional-grade appliances, making breakfast, and trying not to think about the security cameras she'd found hidden in the smoke detectors. Victor's men were outside 24/7, polite but present. She'd counted 4 of them in rotation. A prison, however gilded, was still a prison.
Her phone rang.
Unknown number. "Hello." "Miss Pierce," Victor's voice, all business. "I'm coming by in an hour. There's been a development." He hung up before she could respond. Mia was at school, the fancy private academy 6 blocks away, where the other kids had trust funds and designer backpacks. She'd made friends quickly, the way children do, not understanding that this was temporary. That they were living in borrowed luxury on borrowed time. Victor arrived exactly 60 minutes later. He brought Marcus and another man Hannah hadn't seen before. Older, maybe 60, with white hair and the kind of face that had seen too much. They moved into the living room like they owned it, which technically Victor did. "Miss Pierce, this is Dimitri." Victor gestured to the older man. "He's been helping with our investigation." "Investigation into what?" "Into who's watching you." "And why?" Victor pulled out his tablet. "We've identified 3 different men surveilling your old building over the past 72 hours. All connected to the Volkov organization." Dmitri spoke with a thick Russian accent. "They are not top-tier operators. More like information gatherers. They watch, they report, they do not act." "Yet," Marcus added. Hannah sat down slowly. "Meaning what?" "Meaning they're trying to figure out who you are," Victor said. "They have your name, your address, but they don't understand the connection yet. They don't know if you're a witness, an accomplice, or simply collateral damage." "I vote for collateral damage." "Unfortunately, they don't see it that way." Victor swiped to a new image. This was taken yesterday, outside Mia's old school. Hannah's blood froze. A man in a dark jacket, standing across the street from the elementary school, watching children file out. The same build as the men who'd watched her apartment. "They went to her school?" Hannah's voice shook. "They looked at my daughter?" "Yes." Victor's expression was grim. "Which is why we moved you when we did. If you'd still been there—" "Don't." Hannah stood abruptly, pressing her palms against her eyes. "Don't finish that sentence." Silence. Then Dmitri spoke carefully. Miss Pierce, these people. The Volkovs, they are not subtle. When they want information, they take it. The fact that they are watching means they are unsure. Unsure is good. Unsure means time. Time for what? For us to eliminate the problem, Victor said flatly. Hannah looked at him. Eliminate. You mean kill them? I mean protect you, Victor set down the tablet. The Volkovs tried to take my son. They killed a good man. Now they're threatening you and Mia because you showed Noah kindness. Yes, Miss Pierce. I mean kill them. That's not. Hannah struggled for words. You can't just murder people. Actually, I can. Victor's voice was calm, matter of fact. It's a significant part of my business model. Marcus cleared his throat. What Mr. Kane means is that we have options.
Diplomatique solution. Territorial negociacions.
Ways to resolve this without. Without what? Without more bodies. Hannah laughed bitterly. I helped a kid find his dad. That's all I did. And now I'm standing in a stranger's house, listening to men discuss murder like it's a business merger, because apparently kindness is a crime in your world. Victor studied her. Do you want to go back? To your apartment, your jobs, your life? Of course I do. Then you have two choices, he held up one finger. Option 1. I arrange new identities for you and Mia. New city, new names, new lives. You disappear completely. The Volkovs lose interest because there's nothing to find. And option 2. Victor held up a second finger. I handle the threat. Permanently. You go back to your life in 2 weeks, maybe 3. Everything returns to normal. Except I'll know people died, because I helped a child. People die in my world every day, Miss Pierce. With or without your help, Victor leaned forward. The question is whether you can accept protection without feeling responsible for the cost. Hannah looked at Dimitri, then Marcus, then back to Victor. And if I choose option 1? New identities. Then you leave tonight. I'll provide documents, money, a house somewhere quiet. Mia starts a new school under a new name. You never see me again. And Noah. Victor's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. What about him? Does he get told why we disappeared? Or does he just think I abandoned him like everyone else in his life? Direct hit. She saw it in Victor's eyes. He'd understand, Victor said quietly. Eventually. No, he wouldn't. He's 9 years old. He'd think he caused it. That his life ruins everything good. Hannah crossed her arms. I've seen that look before, Mr. Kane. On Mia's face, when her father stopped visiting. When she thinks she's not worth staying for. The room went silent. Finally, Dimitri spoke. She has a point, Victor. The boy is fragile right now. Another abandonment could be. I know what it could be. Victor stood abruptly, walking to the window. Outside, one of his guards patrolled the street, hand resting casually on his concealed weapon. Which is why I'm asking Miss Pierce. Not telling. What do you want? Hannah thought about her apartment with its broken heater. About counting coins for soup. About Mia's inhaler and the medical bills and the constant, grinding fear of not being enough. She thought about Noah in the rain. People around my dad don't come back. I want option 3, she said. Victor turned. There is no option 3. Then we'll make one, Hannah stepped forward. You said the Volkovs are watching because they're unsure. Because they don't know what I am. So show them. Show them what? That I'm nothing. A charity case you're helping out of guilt. Hire me to work at one of your legitimate businesses. Make it public. Make it boring. Hannah's mind raced. You said you own charities, right? Public ones? Employ me there. Pay me a visible salary. Let the Volkovs see I'm just some single mom you're throwing money at to feel better about your son's trauma. Marcus and Dimitri exchanged looks. Victor studied her carefully. That could work. If they believe you're irrelevant, they'll lose interest. Exactly. But it means staying visible. Staying connected to me. Are you willing to do that? Hannah thought about Mia in her new school, making friends. About Noah asking his father to keep her safe. About how sometimes the only way out was through. Yes, she said. I am. Victor extended his hand. Then welcome to Kane Foundation, Miss Pierce. You start Monday. The Morrison Academy occupied an entire city block, red brick and ivy, playing fields and a chapel, money so old it didn't need to announce itself. Hannah felt like an imposter walking through its gates. You don't have to do this, Victor said beside her. He'd picked her up that morning in a modest sedan instead of the usual SUV. Less conspicuous, he'd explained. Marcus can handle the school transition. Noah asked for me specifically. Hannah adjusted her purse. New leather. A gift from Victor she'd tried to refuse. Besides, I know what it's like to be the new kid. Mia went through it 3 times when her father and I were splitting up. They walked past a fountain where bronze children played in eternal summer. Real children in pressed uniforms rushed past, laughing, expensive phones in hand. None of them looked worried about rent or medical bills, or whether dinner would stretch. He's been having nightmares, Victor said quietly. About that night. About Robert. The therapist says it's normal, but he stopped himself. But you're his father, and normal trauma doesn't feel normal when it's your kid. Victor glanced at her, something like surprise in his expression. Yes. The headmaster's office was all dark wood and leather-bound books. Mrs. Pemberton, 50-something, pearls, the kind of smile that didn't reach her eyes, greeted them with practiced warmth. Mr. Kane. Always a pleasure. Her gaze slid to Hannah, assessing and dismissing in one glance. And this is? Hannah Pierce. She's helping Noah transition back after the incident. Victor's tone brooked no argument. She'll be accompanying him today, sitting in on classes, providing emotional support. Mrs. Pemberton's smile tightened. We have excellent counselors on staff. Ms. Pierce is who Noah trusts right now. So Ms. Pierce stays. The matter was closed. They found Noah in a small room off the main library, working with a tutor on mathematics he'd missed. He looked up when they entered, and his whole face transformed. Miss Pierce. He was out of his chair in seconds, hesitating just before reaching her. You came? Of course I came. Hannah crouched down. How are you doing, honey? Okay. Better. He glanced at his father. Dad said you're staying in town. That you're going to work for the foundation. That's right.
So you'll be seeing more of me.
If that's okay. It's okay. Noah's voice dropped. I thought maybe you'd left. That you decided we were too much trouble. Hannah's heart cracked. Noah, listen to me. What happened wasn't your fault. None of it. And I would never blame you for it. But people got hurt because bad people made bad choices. Hannah kept her voice firm. You are not responsible for what adults do. You hear me? Noah nodded, but she could see him filing it away in that mental space where 9-year-olds stored things too heavy to process. The day unfolded in pieces. Hannah sat in the back of Noah's literature class, watching him navigate discussions about symbolism with the careful precision of someone twice his age. During lunch, he ate alone until Hannah joined him, and then 3 other kids drifted over, curious about the woman who wasn't a teacher but wasn't his mother either. Is she your nanny? One boy asked. She's my friend, Noah said simply. In art class, Noah painted. Hannah watched colors bleed across paper, dark blues and blacks at first, storm colors. But then yellow appeared.
And white.
Light breaking through. The teacher, a young man with paint-stained fingers, caught Hannah's eye and nodded approvingly. During recess, Hannah stood with Victor near the fence, watching Noah play kickball with surprising enthusiasm. He's different with you here, Victor said. How? Lighter. Victor's hands rested in his pockets, but his shoulders were tense. At home, he's always waiting for the next crisis. Here, with you watching, he's just a kid. Hannah watched Noah run the bases, laughing when he was tagged out. He should get to be just a kid more often. I've tried. Victor's voice held something raw. Private schools, security, everything money can buy. But I can't give him normal. Normal isn't safe in our world. Maybe normal isn't about safety. Maybe it's about having someone who sees you as a kid first and a liability second. Victor was quiet for a long moment. You think I see my son as a liability? I think you see every person in your life as a chess piece. Including yourself. Hannah turned to face him. Noah told me you have more meetings than hours in the day. That you work through dinner. That sometimes he doesn't see you for days even though you live in the same house. I'm protecting him. You're protecting him from everyone except the one person he needs most. Hannah softened her voice. I'm not judging you, Mr. Kane. I work 3 jobs. Mia goes to bed alone most nights. I understand survival mode. But somewhere between surviving and living, we have to choose what we're surviving for. Victor's jaw worked. You don't understand my world. No, I don't. But I understand being a parent scared of failing their child. She gestured to Noah, now helping a smaller boy up after a fall. He's turning out good despite everything. You're doing something right. Maybe just do more of it. Before Victor could respond, a woman's voice called out. Victor? Victor Kane? They both turned. A woman approached, late 30s, designer clothes, perfectly styled blonde hair. Everything about her screamed money and confidence. She smiled at Victor like they shared a secret. Melissa, Victor's tone went carefully neutral. Didn't expect to see you here. Trevor's in Noah's grade. I volunteer with the PDA. Melissa's eyes slid to Hannah, curious and calculating. And who's this? Hannah Pierce. She works for my foundation. How nice, Melissa's smile sharpened. I don't think we've met. I know most of Victor's associates. The pause before associates was deliberate. Hannah recognized the game immediately. Territorial assessment, social ranking, the kind of subtle warfare rich women waged. She'd seen it before, serving at upscale events, invisible in her catering uniform while women like Melissa fought over men like Victor. I'm new, Hannah said evenly. Just started this week. Doing what, exactly? Whatever needs doing, Hannah met her gaze. Today that's making sure Noah feels safe at school. Melissa's expression flickered. Surprise, maybe respect.
Well,
that's very hands-on. Victor stepped forward slightly, a subtle physical barrier. If you'll excuse us, Melissa. We're in the middle of something. Of course, Melissa's smile didn't waver. Good seeing you, Victor. We should have dinner soon. Catch up properly. She walked away, heels clicking on the path. Hannah exhaled. Friend of yours? Widow of a business partner.
She's been
persistent since her husband died. Persistent. That's diplomatic. Victor almost smiled. She collects powerful men like art. I've been declining her invitations for 2 years. Sounds exhausting. You have no idea, he checked his watch. School ends in 20 minutes. I should get back to the office. What about Noah? Marcus will handle pickup. Hannah caught his arm. Or you could stay. Pick him up yourself. Maybe even act surprised when he tells you about his day. Victor looked at her hand on his sleeve, then at her face. You're very free with your opinions, Miss Pierce. You're paying me to help Noah. That's my opinion on how to help him. For a moment, she thought he'd argue. Then he pulled out his phone and sent a text.
There.
Meeting moved. I'll take Noah home myself.
See?
That wasn't so hard. It was catastrophically inefficient, Victor corrected. But perhaps worth it. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Noah play. And Hannah realized with strange certainty that Victor Kane, billionaire, criminal, dangerous man, was watching his son the way she watched Mia. Like he was the whole world. Like losing him would end everything. Maybe they weren't so different after all. Hannah's first day at the Kane Foundation started with a lie. Just act natural, Victor had said the night before. You're a new hire. Low-level coordinator. No one needs to know anything else. But natural was difficult when your boss owned half the city and had killed people before breakfast. The foundation occupied 3 floors of a gleaming downtown tower. Legitimate charity work, homeless outreach, youth programs, addiction recovery. The kind of operations that cleaned dirty money and improved public image simultaneously. Hannah's supervisor was a woman named Claire, mid-40s, efficient, with kind eyes that had seen enough to be cautious. You'll be managing donor communications, Claire explained, showing Hannah to a cubicle with a view of the parking garage. Responding to inquiries, processing donations, coordinating volunteer schedules. Nothing complicated. Sounds perfect. Can I ask how you got this position? Claire's tone was casual, but her eyes were sharp. We don't usually hire without extensive interviews. Mr. Kane owed me a favor the lie Victor had crafted. I helped his son with something. He offered me a job. Helped how? Wrong place, right time situation. Nothing dramatic. Claire studied her, then nodded. Word of advice? Keep your head down. Do good work. The foundation is legitimate, but Mr. Kane's world is complicated. The less you know, the safer you are. Too late for that. By lunch, Hannah had processed 50 donation requests and scheduled 3 volunteer orientations. Normal work. The kind that didn't involve surveillance footage or Russian mobsters. She ate a sandwich in the break room, grateful for the mundane routine, when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. Hello. Hannah Pierce. A woman's voice. Smooth, professional. This is Detective Sarah Chun with Metro PD. I'd like to ask you some questions about the night of November 8th. The night she found Noah. Hannah's hand tightened on the phone. I don't know what you're talking about. Miss Pierce, we have security footage of you with a minor, Noah Kane, on the night his driver was murdered. You were one of the last people to see the victim alive. I need you to come to the precinct for a statement. I didn't see anyone get murdered. I just found a lost kid and helped him call his father. That's exactly what I'd like to discuss. Can you come in today? Hannah thought fast. I'm at work. Can it wait? I'd prefer not. This is a homicide investigation. Before Hannah could respond, a shadow fell across her table. Marcus stood in the doorway, phone to his ear, his expression unreadable. Ms. Pierce is represented by counsel, he said into his phone, loud enough for Hannah to hear. All questions should go through Kane Legal. Have a good day, detective. He hung up. Hannah stared at him. How did you? Your phone is monitored. For your safety. Marcus sat down across from her. Detective Chun is legitimate but ambitious. She's been investigating Robert's death, and your name appeared in our security logs. She's looking for leverage against Mr. Kane. By questioning me? By turning you into a witness. Making you testify about that night, about what Noah said, about what you saw. Marcus leaned forward. Mr. Kane's lawyers will handle it. You say nothing without them present. Understand? This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. Neither did Noah. But in Detective Chen's world, you're both potential weapons against a man she's been trying to bring down for 5 years. Marcus stood. Go back to work. Act normal. If she contacts you again, you refer her to Kane Legal immediately. He left, and Hannah sat alone with half a sandwich and the growing realization that normal was never coming back. That evening, she returned to the townhouse to find Mia doing homework at the kitchen table and Victor sitting across from her, helping with fractions. Hannah stopped in the doorway, shocked.
Manga.
Mia jumped up. Mr. Kane knows all the shortcuts for division. Look. Victor glanced up, and something in his expression was almost embarrassed. She mentioned she was struggling. I was in the area. In the area. Of the house you own. Where we're staying under your protection. Precisely, he stood, smoothing his jacket. I should go. Wait, Hannah set down her bag. Mia, go wash up for dinner, sweetie. Once her daughter was gone, Hannah turned to Victor. The police called me today. I know. Marcus briefed me. Of course he did. Because my phone is monitored. Like I'm a suspect instead of someone you're supposedly protecting. The monitoring is for my safety. I know, Hannah crossed her arms. What I don't know is when this ends. When do I get my life back? My privacy? My daughter's innocence. Victor was quiet for a moment. There's been a development. Of course there has. We found Robert's killers. Volkov enforcers, hired for the job. They've been dealt with. Hannah's blood went cold. Dealt with how? How do you think? I think I don't want to know. She pressed her palms against her eyes. God, what am I doing? I'm living in your house, working at your fake charity, helping raise your son. It's not a fake charity. We helped 1,200 people last month. And now people are dead because I found Noah in the rain. Hannah looked at him. When does it stop, Mr. Kane? When do I stop being part of your world? Victor stepped closer, his voice low. When you stop being in danger. That's the deal. And am I still in danger? He hesitated. That was answer enough. The Volkov leadership knows about you now. They know you're connected to me, working at the foundation. They're watching to see if you're leverage or just noise. So I'm bait. You're protected bait. Victor's jaw tightened. I have men on you 24 hours a day. If anyone even looks at you wrong, more people die. I get it, Hannah laughed bitterly. This is the price of kindness in your world. I save a kid from hypothermia, and suddenly I'm responsible for a body count. You're not responsible. I am. Does that actually make you feel better? Knowing you'll kill to protect me? Victor met her eyes.
Yes.
It does. The honesty of it was somehow worse than a lie. Hannah turned away. Mia's teacher said she's doing really well, making friends, excelling in everything. She loves it here. That's good. No, it's not. Because when this is over, if it's ever over, I have to take her back to our old life. Back to struggling and scraping by. And she'll remember this. She'll remember what having enough felt like. Hannah's voice cracked. You're giving my daughter a taste of something we can never keep. Victor was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. Then maybe you don't go back. Hannah turned. What? Maybe this doesn't have to be temporary. And in his eyes, she saw something dangerous. Not threat, but possibility. The kind that changed everything. Hannah didn't sleep that night. Maybe this doesn't have to be temporary. Victor's words circled her mind like vultures. She lay on the too-soft bed in the too-nice townhouse, listening to Mia breathe peacefully in the room next door, and tried to figure out what he'd really meant. Was it charity? Pity? Or something else entirely? By morning, she'd made a decision. She found Victor at the foundation headquarters, in an office on the top floor she'd never been allowed to access. His assistant, a severe woman named Patricia, tried to stop her. Mr. Kane is in a meeting. I need 5 minutes, Hannah pushed past. He'll want to hear this. Victor sat at a conference table with 3 men in expensive suits, lawyers probably, or accountants. He looked up as she entered, and something flickered in his expression. Not anger. Interest. Gentlemen, we'll continue this later. His tone made it clear it wasn't a request. The men filed out, giving Hannah curious looks. Patricia closed the door behind them with an audible sniff of disapproval. Miss Pierce, Victor gestured to a chair. This must be important. What did you mean last night? About this not being temporary? Victor leaned back.
Direct.
I appreciate that. Answer the question. I meant exactly what I said. You're good at this work. The foundation needs competent people. Noah trusts you.
Mia is thriving.
Why end something that's working? Because it's not real. Hannah stayed standing. None of this is real. This job, this house, this whole situation, it's all built on you feeling guilty about dragging us into your mess. Guilt implies regret. I don't regret protecting you, but you do feel responsible. There's a difference. Hannah crossed her arms. What happens when that responsibility fades? When Noah doesn't need me anymore? When the Volkovs move on to their next target? Victor stood, walked to the window, overlooking the city. 42 floors up, the world looked orderly. Manageable. Nothing like the chaos at street level. I've been thinking about what you said. At Noah's school. About chess pieces he didn't turn around. You were right. I do see people that way. It's how I survive. How I've built everything I have. That's not an answer. It's context. Victor turned to face her. I'm offering you a real position, Hannah. Not charity. Not guilt. A legitimate job as Director of Community Outreach. $60,000 a year to start. Benefits. Education stipend for Mia. The townhouse becomes yours. Purchased in your name, no strings. Hannah's breath caught.
Why?
Because you're good at this. In 3 days, you've improved our donor response time by 40%. You've identified inefficiencies in our volunteer program. You care about the work, not just the paycheck. Victor moved closer. And because Noah needs someone like you in his life. Someone who sees him as a kid first. So, I become what, your employee? Your son's emotional support. You become independent, Victor's voice was firm. Real job, real salary, real stability. You'd answer to Claire, not me. The only connection to my other businesses would be the name on your paychecks. The name of a mob boss. The name of a philanthropist who funds programs that help thousands of people. Victor tilted his head. You've seen the work we do. The Addiction Recovery Center, that's saving lives. The youth program keeping kids off the streets. The housing initiative. It's real, Hannah. It matters. Blood money cleaning itself. Money is money. What matters is what it does. He pulled a folder from his desk, set it in front of her. This is the contract. Standard employment terms.
No hidden clauses.
No obligations beyond showing up and doing excellent work. Hannah stared at the folder. Inside was everything she'd dreamed of: stability, security, a future for Mia. All she had to do was accept it. What about the Volkovs? Being handled. By month's end, they'll no longer be a concern. Handled how? Victor's expression went cold. Do you really want to know? She didn't. That was the problem. She was already complicit, already comfortable with the protection his violence provided. If I take this job, Hannah said carefully, I need conditions. Name them. 1. I work for the foundation, not for you personally. I'm not your assistant, your spy, or your conscience. Agreed. 2. Mia stays out of your world. She doesn't know about the other businesses. She thinks you're just a philanthropist who gave her mom a job. Agreed. 3. If I ever feel unsafe, or if I think Mia's in danger, I can leave. No questions, no retaliation, no tracking. Victor was quiet for a moment. I can't agree to the tracking. Not while threats exist. Then we're done here. Hannah turned toward the door. Wait, Victor's voice stopped her. Modified condition. If you leave, tracking continues for 90 days. After that, you're free. Completely. I'll even provide relocation assistance if you want it. Hannah turned back. Why 90 days? Because that's how long it takes for my enemies to lose interest. After 3 months, you're old news. Not worth the investment, Victor met her eyes. It's a compromise, Hannah. The best I can offer, and still keep you alive. She studied him. This man who killed people, who controlled empires, who looked at his son like he was the only good thing in a corrupt world. What do you get out of this? Hannah asked. Really? Victor's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Noah smiles when you're around. He talks about his day, without prompting. He's having fewer nightmares, his voice dropped. I get to be a better father, because you're showing me how. That's worth more than money, Miss Pierce. Hannah looked at the folder. At the contract that could change everything. She thought about Mia's new school. About not counting coins for soup. About going to work without fear that one missed shift would cascade into eviction. She thought about Noah, painting light breaking through storm clouds. I want one more condition, she said. Name it. You spend actual time with Noah. Not just security briefings or check-ins.
Real time.
Dinner twice a week minimum. School events. Normal father-son things. Victor's jaw tightened. That's not negotiable for a job contract. It is if you want me to take the job. Hannah stepped closer. Because if I'm going to help him, you need to meet me halfway. He doesn't need another employee, Mr. Kane. He needs his father. They stared at each other across the office. Finally, Victor extended his hand. Deal. Hannah shook it. His grip was warm, solid, the handshake of someone who kept his word, even if that word was backed by violence. Welcome to the Kane Foundation, Miss Pierce. Victor almost smiled. Try not to make me regret this. Too late, Hannah replied. I'm already a terrible influence. As she left his office, contract in hand, Hannah tried to ignore the voice in her head whispering that she'd just made either the best decision of her life or the worst. Time would tell which. 6 weeks later, the city overlook was Hannah's favorite discovery in her new life. A small park on the Heights bluff, overlooking downtown where lights turned the skyline into something almost magical. She'd found it by accident one evening, walking off stress after a particularly difficult day dealing with a grant application crisis. Now she came here to think. Thought I'd find you here. Hannah turned to find Victor approaching, hands in his pockets, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. He wore jeans and a casual jacket, no suit, no armor. Just a man taking an evening walk. How did you know where I was? Patricia saw you leave the office. This is where you always go when you need space. Victor stopped beside her at the railing. I'm not tracking you. Just observant. Sure you're not. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city breathe. 6 weeks had changed things in ways Hannah was still processing. The Volkov threat had disappeared. She didn't ask how. Noah had stopped having nightmares. Mia had been cast as a tree in the school play and was taking her role very seriously. And somehow, impossibly, Hannah had found a rhythm in this strange new life. Claire told me you secured the Whitmore Foundation grant, Victor said. $500,000 for the housing initiative. She said it was your proposal that won them over. It's good work. Easy to be passionate about it. It's more than that. You care. Victor glanced at her. Most people in your position would coast. Take the salary, do the minimum. You're actually making a difference. Isn't that the point of all this? Hannah gestured at the city below. The foundation, the programs, it's supposed to help people. It's supposed to clean money and improve my public image, Victor said bluntly. The fact that it also helps people is a convenient bonus. But you've made it something more. Claire's team is inspired. Volunteers are up 30%. We're actually changing lives. Hannah looked at him. Does that bother you? That something you built for selfish reasons is becoming real? It surprises me. Victor leaned against the railing. Most things I touch turn dark. But this, what you're building, it's actually good. Maybe you're not as dark as you think. Oh, I am. Make no mistake, his voice was soft but certain. Last week I ordered a man's business destroyed because he tried to cheat me. 2 weeks before that, I made an example of someone who threatened my territory. I am exactly what everyone says I am. And yet you show up to Noah's school plays. You have dinner with him 3 times a week. You helped Mia with her science project even though you clearly had no idea how volcanoes work. Victor almost smiled. YouTube tutorials. I watched 6 of them. The point is, you're trying. That matters. They were quiet for a moment. Then Victor said, Noah asked me something yesterday. He wanted to know if you were going to stay.
Permanently.
Hannah's heart skipped. What did you tell him? That it was your choice. That we're grateful for whatever time you're willing to give. Victor turned to face her fully. But between us, I'm asking the same question. Are you staying? I have a job.
A house.
A life here now. That's not what I asked. Hannah looked out at the city, at the lights that represented millions of lives intersecting and diverging, moments of connection in the chaos. Do you know what scared me most about taking this job? That I'd turn out to be a monster? That I'd get comfortable. That Mia and I would get used to stability, and then something would rip it away again. She met his eyes. I've spent 7 years in survival mode, always waiting for the next disaster. And now you're terrified that you might actually be safe. Yes, the admission felt like exhaling after holding her breath. What if I let myself believe this is real? And then? Then what? I betray you? Use you? Destroy everything? Victor's voice was gentle. Hannah, I've spent 6 weeks proving I keep my word. At what point do you trust that? When did you start calling me Hannah instead of Ms. Pierce? He blinked, caught off guard. I don't know. Sometime in the last month. Does it bother you?
No.
It feels. Honest. Hannah turned to face him fully. Can I ask you something? And will you answer honestly? Always. That night you came to my apartment, when you could have just sent Marcus to pick up Noah. Why did you come yourself? Victor was quiet for a long moment. Because I needed to see who saved my son. I needed to look you in the eye and know if you were real or just another threat in disguise. And you were making soup from coins in your pocket, sleeping on a broken couch so your daughter could have a bed. You were the most real thing I'd seen in 20 years, his voice dropped. You reminded me that good people still exist. that kindness isn't always a strategy. Hannah's throat tightened. Victor, I'm not asking you to save me, or fix me, or absolve me of anything I've done, he held her gaze. I'm just asking you to stay. Keep working at the foundation. Keep showing Noah that the world isn't entirely dark. Keep being exactly who you are. And what do you get out of it? The privilege of watching my son become the kind of man I never could be. The satisfaction of knowing something I built is actually making the world better. Victor's expression softened. And maybe, occasionally, the company of someone who sees me as human instead of monster. Hannah's chest ached. This man, this dangerous, powerful, broken man, was asking for so little, just to exist in proximity to something good. I'm staying, she said. Not because you asked, but because this is the first place that's felt like home in a very long time. Victor's relief was visible. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm going to push you to be present, to be better, to actually deserve the second chance Noah's giving you. I'd expect nothing less. They stood together, watching the city lights flicker like possibilities. Somewhere down there, Mia was at the townhouse with the sitter, rehearsing her tree lines. Noah was probably reading, his nightmares fading into memory. And two lives that should never have intersected were building something neither of them expected. Not perfect. Not without complications. But real. Hannah, Victor said quietly. That night in the rain, when you found Noah, you said you did what any decent person would do. I did. You were wrong. Most people would have walked past. They would have protected themselves first. He looked at her. You didn't just save my son that night. You reminded both of us that the world still has people worth protecting. Hannah felt tears prick her eyes. He's a good kid, Victor. Don't let this world take that from him. I won't. Not while I have you reminding me what good looks like. They stayed until the city lights blurred in the darkness, two unlikely allies standing at the edge of everything they'd built together. A single mom who'd risked everything for kindness. A billionaire who'd finally found something worth being better for. The storm had passed. The threats had faded. And somehow, impossibly, they'd all found their way home. Not the home they'd planned, but the one they needed. And that, Hannah thought, was enough.